United States Air Force as Vice President. I just read in the paper, Joey, you traveled 1,200,000 miles on Air Force. He said, big, I won't quote him exactly. He said, big deal, Joey. He said, we just had a retirement dinner in Newark, New Jersey. He said, just had a retirement dinner. You know how many miles you've ridden? I said, no, Angie. He said, 1,320,000.
A ton of views about the Ford stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. You don't want to miss out on this, so here it is. Gas prices are continuing to rise again, and now, many advocacy groups are urging the president to take action, executive action, and send out inflation relief checks to Americans. This could be a one-time payment for so many people. New stimulus checks worth more than $400 are going out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry announced that applicants who chose direct deposit will see their checks within 10 days. The Minnesota Governor, Tim Walz, said at the Direct Payments and News Conference on October 3rd that, "I'm grateful for the work of Minnesotans did to help people across the state today and stay healthy and safe through the crisis. Frontline workers are an important part of the fabric of our state and help us continue functioning during this time." The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry announced that applicants who chose direct deposit will see their checks within 10 days. However, you could see your payment within 3 to 4 weeks if you chose to receive the compensation via debit card. Applicants who applied should have received an email informing them if they were approved or denied for the one-time payment. And the temporary commissioner of the state's labor department said that the industry and the money is subject to federal income tax, but not the state income tax. And lower gas prices in Minnesota, along with cheaper used cars, slowed inflation for a second straight month. But new inflation reports have actually painted a far rosy picture as many other items increased in prices. Consumer prices surged 8.3% last month, down from 8.5% from a year-over-year increase in July. Inflation is still painfully high as food and energy prices remain volatile, but is down from the 4-decade high of 9.1% in June. In the Midwest, inflation rose to 8.1% in August of 2022, and used vehicles are declining, but still remain about 7.8% higher than as at this time last year. Airfares are declining as well. As major oil companies actually plan to slash production, U.S. gas prices may rise again, with some states potentially feeling the burn more than others. The Alliance of Oil-Producing Countries announced it will cut production by 2 million barrels per day starting this October, a move that may put further upward pressure on gasoline prices. Even before the group's decision, gas prices had already started ticking up across the nation after briefly declining again, and the national average gas price stood at $3.89 as of Friday, up from $3.80 from the week before. Illinois residents have just 8 days left to claim this $700 check, everybody. The tax rebates are part of the state's family plan. It was introduced by a bill from the state senator, and it was who passed the legislature earlier this year. The bill sets aside millions of dollars for those who filed their taxes in 2021 to help with the increased costs caused by the crisis and rising inflation. The senator told reporters that from crisis losses to the increased cost of living, White House conference, and Joe Biden also said, "That's why my national strategy calls on Congress to expand the child credit permanently. We'll get it done more this time." And recently released census data shows that credit expansion has helped reduce child poverty by more than 40%. That prompted Democratic lawmakers like Michael Bennet of Colorado, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, and Cory Booker of New Jersey to call for extending the enhanced credit before the year ends. The post-election period, everybody, could be a key opportunity for revisiting the proposal. It's a more optimism time compared to last year, as lawmakers are at a year-end tax deal to revisit corporate tax cuts put in place in 2017. Advocates hope an enhanced child tax credit can be included in that package. And Brown said in a recent interview, no more tax breaks for big corporations and the wealthy unless the child tax credit is with it. According to Elaine Mag, an expert at the Urban Bookings Tax Policy Center, there were the few key features behind the success of the 2021 credit, in addition to the higher credit amounts that monthly payments. And now, the credit was made fully refundable. That made it possible for low-income households to access the full credit. Plus, don't forget about this, everybody. Experts say that when lawmakers negotiate on new terms, an enhanced child tax credit may not be as generous as the 2021 crisis-era relief. Now, child poverty is poised to increase relative to last year. Economists have said that Congress had a real choice on whether or not to take action and stern some of the rise in poverty, and the work requirements may be a sticking point in the negotiations between the two parties. Over the past few months, Mitt Romney has pushed for a Republican-friendly version of this. It came after both the House and the Senate passed a bill to take back Biden's debt relief that the president ultimately vetoed. So while Biden has announced a new plan to get borrowers relief during a different law, it's called the Higher Education Act, many Republican lawmakers don't even want to actually be carried on this. Biden acknowledged that delivering relief through the Higher Education Act will take some time because it requires the policy to go through a negotiated rulemaking process, which includes hearings and public commitment. Still, payments are scheduled to resume in October, but still, with interest accruing again in September. And while the Education Department announced a 12-month ramp on payments after the repayment starts, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is worried. Folks, more and more checks are expected to arrive for the Americans throughout the summer and fall. Lawmakers are agreeing to provide the low income with extra financial relief, and relief may either be in the form of a one-time check or direct deposit. But now, 2 rebate checks are going to be for tax policies. These checks are typically sent out after individuals file their annual tax returns and determined to be eligible for a refund or credit. The specific eligibility criteria for tax rebates is depending on tax lawmakers and regulations in the country. A large number of states have announced they will be mailing and depositing relief checks for many residents. During the recently wrapped legislative sessions, the lawmakers agreed to send tax rebates to people in Minnesota, and now the rebates are $260 for individuals with AGIs very high, but $520 for couples who file jointly. People within those limits will get an additional $260 per dependent for up to 3 people they can claim. Rebates are expected to go out via direct deposit and checks starting this fall too. It's important to note that the lawmakers and taxpayers who have to apply for these payments are going to get good money. Georgia has a very large budget surplus, and the latest report was more than $6 billion. As I was saying, to receive the funds, filers must have paid and filed taxes for the past 2 years, and according to a spokesperson, Georgia's Department of Revenue has already processed over 1.1 million total refunds. It totals about $257 million. If you haven't received your money yet, don't even worry. The Department of Revenue says the funds will go out over the next 8 weeks for those who file. And beginning in July of 2021, the IRS began distributing nearly $93 billion in advance child tax payments to families. Those are paper checks or direct deposits that appeared each month. And the payments were equal to 50% of the child tax credit estimated to be families and available to the families. Based on information reported on their federal income tax return, eligible families who did not receive the advance payments or didn't receive enough can claim the full credit on their 2021 tax return during the tax filing season. Mailing the payments in monthly installments wasn't the only change, and the credit was also bigger and fully refundable to qualifying taxpayers, and it means that you could receive the advanced child tax credit payment even if you did not owe any taxes. It has reached more than 61 million children, and studies suggest that it made a tremendous impact. A 2022 paper from the American Medical Association noted that children in the United States are more likely to live in poverty than any other age group. Before the crisis, over 10 million children in the United States